do a little bit more just straight teaching instead of kind of reading Dominique's answers. But I like the fact that we've had two different people who are kind of in two different, well, actually we've had three, because we had Adetola yesterday as well. But we've had three different areas where people feel like they're not ready, they're kind of ready, and then they are really deep into their personal brand. And so Dominique indicated that she's almost there. But what I wanted to do for somebody that feels like they're almost there, so if you feel like, okay, yeah, I've got a pretty good handle on my personal brand, I want you to conduct a light touch audit of your touch points. And so Dominique, you shared that your touch points where people are experiencing you are LinkedIn and Twitter. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so I went ahead and Googled you. You have such a unique name. So I went ahead and Googled you. And if you want to mute yourself, Dominique, or if you want to be unmuted, because I'm just kind of going to share what I found and then kind of talk you through some ways I feel like you can reach your objective. Is that okay with you?
That sounds good.
Okay. So Dominique shared that when I asked how she wanted people, what she wanted people to walk away thinking and believing about her, she says that a Boston-based nonprofit fundraising professional committed to the sector and highlight the experiences of those in the sector with a focus on underrepresented voices in the space. So that's what Dominique wants people to experience of her. And so when I did my Google search, the first three things that came up were LinkedIn, your job at YW Boston, and Facebook. And so I'm going to start with Facebook, because even though your profile is relatively private, I think there are some things on here that you want to pay attention to, only because, you guys, it's totally okay. Like for me as a designer and a visual brand strategist and a personal branding, Lord, I'm forgetting all my titles, but a personal branding coach or consultant, it's okay for me to have this varied and colorful and sort of like really personal Facebook account that's open to the world, right? Because I lean very heavily on my personal characteristics in order to attract my clients and my opportunities. However, if you have more of this polished demeanor and you want people to know you for your work, and your work is not predicated on these sort of peripheral personality characteristics and traits, then you're going to want to make sure that anywhere that people encounter you, you are showing up as that person. So we've been saying this over and over again. I think everyone tonight, from Anthony on down to me, has been talking about being very clear about what you want to present. And so, Dominique, there are a few things that I want you to pay attention to that are on your Facebook account that are available for the world to see. So it's totally okay for your friends, to see these things, but I just want to make sure you know. So it's great to have the education. Your job is on here. And then I scroll down a couple of clicks or ticks, if you will, and there's a picture of you with somebody drinking a beer, and it looks like you have a drink in your hand. It's all the way from 2016. Anybody with any common sense would say, this is from back in the day. She was maybe in college. It's probably your friend. You're not drinking the drink, but you have a drink in your hand. People may infer that. So what I'm suggesting that everybody do is to do some social media pruning, because as we have heard, recruiters, nosy people, haters, they're all going to go back as far as they can to see what you're posting and what you're talking about. So it's just going to be something as simple as going inside of your Facebook account and switching something from public to only friends. And there's even a setting inside of Facebook where it says only me. Okay, I've recently made a relationship transition, and so I went back to all those wedding photo albums and anniversary, and I switched it to only me, right? So we have all the tools available to show up exactly how we want to show up. The other thing that's on your Facebook account from 2016 are a couple of articles from Juju on That Beat and a high school student, and the word rape is in there and the title. And I know this sounds really petty and picky, but you just want to make sure that you are pruning and you are getting rid of old content that is forward facing. If it's internal stuff that only close people can see, fine. But if it's forward facing, we just want to make sure that we do that pruning so we can show up exactly how we want. The next thing that it really caught my attention is that even though you listed Twitter as a touch point for you, the first 3 results on Google do not return Twitter. As a matter of fact, the whole first page with your name, none of the results are Twitter. So that means that you're not tweeting as much as you should if that is one of the touch points where you want people to think about you as this Boston-based nonprofit fundraising professional. If that is indeed the case, then we need to get Twitter trending way up higher on your Facebook search. And next, there's a really good write-up about you.
Rochelle?
Okay.
Before you move on, Dominique, like one of the ways you can do that really quickly on Twitter is actually to use the hashtag fundraising Twitter, because there's a whole world of people who are talking about fundraising stuff on Twitter, and it trends pretty frequently. And that just retweeting, talking about things, doing that hashtag will get you in the mix pretty quickly in that work, if that is one of the areas and domains you want to be seen as an SME, subject matter expert. Sorry, Rochelle.
No, that was great. That was great information. So, and also further, that's one great hashtag, right? But there is a way on all social media platforms to do hashtag research. And so if you decide that when you are talking, you can even use your name as a hashtag. So when people click your name, it's essentially an index of all the information that you shared. You need to research hashtags. Kashana's operation manager, Tiffany, is somebody who is a really great resource for all things social media. So it may be advantageous for Tiffany to give us a little rundown at some point in the group about how to do effective hashtag research so that we can make sure we are not just using one hashtag, but being present where all the things are, we could be, like Kashana was saying, SMEs, subject matter experts. So there's a really great write-up of you, Dominique, on your company's website. And I noticed, I went back pretty far on your activity in LinkedIn, and I did not see that you posted this write-up of yourself. It's not, 12 pages long. It's just a good little write-up about who you are, your history, what you're about. And so if you are trying to position yourself as somebody that is a thought leader, subject matter expert in your industry, sharing this write-up is going to be so important because it lets people know that you are valued where you are right now. You are valued and you are valuable. Also, on your LinkedIn, and again, these are suggestions for helping position yourself in the space that you want to show up in, right? So these are all suggestions to help you make sure that you have a polished, forward-facing personal brand that people can experience and get a sense of you within a few seconds, because that's when we're all making decisions, right? They're snap judgments, they're snap decisions. So you want to share that great write-up of yourself. Another thing that I noticed is there's a lot of you're commenting on a lot of things and you are sharing a lot of things, but you yourself are not creating any original articles or content that I could find I searched for about 20 minutes and I couldn't find any original content. So you're at a great organization that's doing a lot of amazing things. And I learned that through the activity that you were sharing from your organization. But just like yesterday in our hot seat, I was sharing that you could write responses to content. You could even do a write-up beyond what your organization's marketing team has created in their copy. You can add additional write-up. There's so many ways for you to create content so that we start seeing you as that official thought leader. We start seeing you as a leader in the space, which is what you want to show up looking like. So the best way to do that is to put your own thoughts and ideas out there and get this activity section elevated. So it should be saying activity and articles. People that create content on LinkedIn have activity and articles. So, I would say challenge yourself to write at least one piece of content every 2 weeks. You don't necessarily have to share it, but eventually you're going to get to the point where the content will be so good that you'll be comfortable with sharing it. And if you're already comfortable, then I challenge you to get at least one piece of content out per month, because that's 12 pieces of content for the year. Original content from your thoughts, your ideas, based on your subject matter expertise. Now I'm going to switch from your content specifically to your voice. So the way that you are speaking on your LinkedIn profile is very professional, but it's also very sterile. It doesn't have a lot of your personality. It doesn't even share the passion that you have for the position that you're in. So I want you to take a second and just scroll through and make some mental notes about yourself. This is really what I want people to think. This is really what I want people to feel. When they scroll away from this profile, I want them to remember this about me. And then you can kind of start curtailing your copy that's written on your LinkedIn page towards your objective. Because right now it is very professional. It's almost too professional, or like really clean. But it's missing the soul of you. So I would challenge you to start with your about. Rewrite that about so that we understand more of who you are as opposed to just what you do. The last thing I'm going to focus on before I open it up for your questions or anybody else's questions are your visuals. This is another big section that I think we overlook generally as, professionals, because we don't really consider ourselves having personal brands, but we do. And so the visuals are really important. And one of the things that I love about your profile is your profile photo. You seem really happy. Your head is tilted to the side. You seem like somebody caught you in a really great moment. However, you have sunglasses hooked into your dress. And so it looks like an unofficial photo. It just looks like this is a great photo that you like, but not necessarily a professional photo for your profile. So I would encourage you to, when we are all able to go out and do things like take professional photos, to get some professional headshots taken that reflect what you want people to experience of you. And since you mentioned Boston in your objective, which is you wanted people to know that you are this Boston-based nonprofit professional, it's totally okay to use that banner space behind your avatar. You could do an aerial shot of Boston. You can do an area park in Boston. You could do flowers in springtime. But these are opportunities for you to share your personality and kind of elevate and just get people into more of who you are. So just to summarize, I want you to first prune all of your social media touch points. Right? Look for what you're saying and look for those old posts that are from college, or those old posts, that you don't want people to necessarily see because you think it may conflict with your objectives. Go ahead and prune those, make those internal posts and not external facing posts. The next thing is I want you to pay attention to writing original content and having original thoughts out there in the stratosphere, in the atmosphere, so that people can start to look at you as a thought leader and people can start to understand more of who you are. Get it beefed up on LinkedIn specifically, because I can see from your activity on LinkedIn that you spend quite a bit of time there. So that means this is a home base for you. So start getting that original content out there. It should go from activity to activity and articles. We want to see your original thoughts. And the last thing is, let's give some time, care, and attention to your visuals, and let's get that really nice, well lit professional headshot as soon as you can. And then utilize that space behind your avatar on LinkedIn to give us some good visuals of Boston or something else that reflects your personality. Unsplash.com, unsplash.com is an amazing repository for stock imagery. I'm sure you could probably find some great pictures of Boston there, or even just some pictures that reflect more of your personality and what you want people to know from you. I hope this was helpful. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, this was super helpful. I have like a full page of notes written down in a very scattered way because I too am very Gemini-like and scatter my notes. But I wanted to talk about having the sterile profile language on my LinkedIn and just in general. I find that I do that because I'm younger in the field and I'm trying to like build up my rapport and have people see me as a professional um and have them see that I'm someone to take seriously. Is there a way to do that but also shine my personality the way that you're telling me to?
Absolutely. So what I want you to do is I want you to start paying attention to your favorite nonfiction authors. Okay. These people may be like I was so geeked when essentialism was mentioned earlier today because I live and die by this book. This is one of my favorite reads. And Greg McKeown is so great at speaking in his voice, but it's still professional. It is still, he still elocutes really well. And so I think there is a line between, yes, I'm being professional, but this is me being professional speaking in my voice. I'm not asking you to use any crazy colloquialisms like, I don't want you out here saying bling bling or it's lit, but I do want you to speak in a way that's more conversational because that's really what people appreciate. They appreciate authenticity. So you can be intelligent, you can be learned, you can be a subject matter expert, you can be a beginner and still be yourself. So what I would do is, if I were you, I would write the about from your own voice and then try to marry this version you have now and this more relaxed version. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
So the write-up that you saw on YW, would it mirror that voice? Because I was asked to write that about myself. So would you look for something more like that?
Let's read this out loud. This is often something that Kashana and I do, which is really, really helpful. So when we read it out loud, I want you to listen close and see if this is your actual voice, or if this is just the voice you use when you're trying to make sure you are as professional as possible. So I'm going to read just the first paragraph. Dominique joined the YW Boston team in August 2019 as the Associate Director of Annual Giving and Special Events. She is responsible for overseeing activities related to annual giving and efforts to expand YW's donor base and increase revenue streams to support programs. Before her time at YW Boston, she worked as the Development Associate at the Bridge Boston Charter School and Esperanza Academy and the Development Intern at Europe Provenance.
This sounds like a real professional, polished version of me.
Yeah. Yeah. So I understand that's important, but I just want to make sure and make certain that on your LinkedIn profile, this space where you control the real estate, that you are shining through, because I don't want you to get lost in a sea of sameness. And that's what happens because everybody is using the same language. Everybody is using these professional idioms and colloquialisms, and then everybody is disappearing, right? So I want you to stand out amongst your competitors and your counterparts. And it's obvious that you do because of your resume, but we just want to put some personality in there. Kashana's profile is really great. And I'm not just saying that because we work together and all that, but I would say, look at her profile. I know that she is not in the same space that you are, but I think it's a really great example of injecting some personality in a very professional environment.
Also, Rochelle, if folks want to see what I wrote when I was a full-time in-house practitioner. I'm happy to share that as well, because I still keep all of my old copy. I have my copy of things that I've written on my LinkedIn profile specifically, and my bio, et cetera, going back to 2015. So I'm happy to share that. If y'all are interested, I'll throw that into a document. It's not the be-all end-all, but it is an example of just how my language has grown over the last few years. And if you look, and I also drop a couple of folks that I really admire. Rochelle, I love the advice to look at nonfiction authors, particularly, or historians, or any thought leaders who talk about weightier subjects. I know Brene Brown is a white woman. She's not a Black woman. But Lisa, help me, Lisa. She's a
I'm not the best with names, but I can tell you Shonda Rhimes by Yes was written very well, and the way she reads it, even Michelle Obama's Becoming. Now, these are not professional books. These are biographies and memoirs. However, these ladies are very polished and very professional in the way that they write.
Right.
So to your point, Kashawn, it may be helpful if there's like a swipe file of like authors and some language from your past LinkedIn profiles, just like a document about copy, because copy is really, really important in the way that we position ourselves, because that is the voice. And so if we could get that in a swipe file, because ladies, I work with, entrepreneurs, professionals, coaches, consultants, speakers, but I am not entrenched enough in the fundraising space to know exactly the words to give you for these examples. And so Kashana's swipe file is probably going to be the best way to kind of see how language can really make an impact in terms of personality.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that, y'all. I'll toss that into a document. But I am going to be taking a very long nap after this conference is over, so y'all probably won't see that up in the file until the end of the week. But I'm happy to do that, and I'll see if I can pull some more examples from LinkedIn, because there are people who I have like screenshot their stuff like this is fly, and I've sent them messages. So from the perspective of elevating your profile on LinkedIn or whatever medium you're on, and also what Alaguma said earlier about carving out a couple of hours a month. Notice she didn't say a week, y'all. A month to relationship building, even dropping onto somebody's page to let them know, like, hey, I follow you on LinkedIn. Your profile is very powerful. I really love the way that you continue to capture content about X. It had not even occurred to me to follow this particular publication until you showed up in my feed. I just want to say thank you. Like, that's enough. You can keep it pushing. And to get on people's radar, and in the ranking order of how you show up in the algorithm, liking something is the lowest, commenting on something is second up from that, resharing with comment is third up from that, writing your own content is fourth, and video is highest and fifth. So just so y'all know, in terms of just sort of like ranking order where things lie as you are thinking about how to navigate where you want to spend your time and energy. So if you're not trying to be a social influencer, you do not have to worry as much about the frequency relative to the type of content, relative to how much time you're spending. But Rochelle's advice is 150% sound on making sure that consistency around developing a personal professional brand blend is really critical. So there was a question there for you, Jacqueline dropped, that said, how careful must one be to exist in an organization and have an opinion when sometimes those things may conflict with the leadership of the organization? Do you have any thoughts on that, or from a branding perspective?
Well, I'm sure you have some perspective based on, being in this environment and knowing the landscape. But for me, I have to say that two things. So first thing is, I shared yesterday, people do not ever gravitate towards the lukewarm based on the fact that lukewarm is not good. So people don't ever gravitate towards the lukewarm. However, I want you to be cognizant of, there are probably 1,726.3 repeating other things that you could be talking about that are not in direct conflict with with somebody that has a major stake in your livelihood. So, you know, there are ways to be, you know, the more clever of a wordsmith you are, you know, the more you're getting your point across without being, you know, directly in conflict. But I will say, write about what you know, write about what you're passionate about, but also just be strategic in your writings and your content, because you do want to still maintain your position at your job. Kashana, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that's great advice. I love when I see things that say my opinions are my own and not my job's. And y'all, you got to make some decisions. You know, I don't have the energy to maintain multiple social media profiles, which is why my personal and business page are the same. I developed a following long before I really thought, oh, maybe I should do this for my business. And so I just can't be bothered. But I made a decision off my camera. I made a decision that there are just certain things I'm not wading into the water on. I can wade into the water in my friend groups, in my chats, but I'm just not wading into the water on it. I don't care. People don't actually have to know my every waking thought. That's what my journal's for. And so you just, to your point, and Rochelle, I think you said this multiple times over the last couple of weeks, you just have to decide what you value, how you're going to live those values, particularly now that we're in a permanent digital space. Like, this is it. Like, this whole pandemic has cemented the digital environment and how you show up. And so when I worked for organizations that I knew we had donors who had some really questionable views and so forth, I just stayed out of that conversation. That was my choice. I know people who are like, F that, I'm all in the conversation. That's their choice. So I want you all to feel really powerful and feel emboldened to make the decision around what you will and will not discuss in a digital environment that is best for you. But understand that everything that you feel on the inside don't have to be on your outside voice. It could just be in your inside voice. And when you choose to share things in your outside voice, couch that thing. I just want to be clear that this is something that's happening that's enough that I need to be able to speak on it publicly, because I see things happening now in my timeline that are making me really question the fact that I'm friends with some of y'all. Like, I've seen people kind of couch that sometimes, and I love when I see that, because I know that it is important, because they are really taking a position that is outside of their norm. Hopefully that's helpful.
Absolutely. So Dominique, do you have any other questions?
I had one more question. So,
okay.
Another thing that part of the reason why I signed up for the Branding Hotseat is I'm going to be speaking on a podcast, and I'm trying to figure out, because you were saying to create some content, so I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to publicize that's going to fit into these action steps that I have.
So what I want you to think about is what you're trying to get out of the podcast, right? Because being featured on a podcast, in a magazine, on a television show, as a speaker at a conference, these are all opportunities to, number one, create brand awareness, right? To clue people into who Dominique is. But number two, these are opportunities to increase network and also pull people in to whatever you may be selling, doing, having on the side. So you have to decide, what type of marketing activity is this for me? What do I want to get out of that? That's the first thing you need to do. And this is something I suggest that you type in a document or write out by hand in a notebook. So first, what is my objective? Yes, I want people to know who Dominique is. Then what, right? And immediately after that, you have to consider all the listeners of your podcast, all the attendees of your TED Talk, and all of the people who encounter you in the internet to be clients, customers, potential people to add to your network. So what is their experience supposed to be after encountering you at the podcast, conference, social media touch point? What do you want them to do next? That will inform how you educate people about your upcoming appearance, right? If you want people to think that they can book some time to consult with you then you need to have some sort of language, some copy that says, go to my this and then do that. People come to me all the time from word of mouth. The majority of my business is built on referral. When somebody sends somebody to me, right? They've seen a video I've done. They've experienced me giving a talk. They've experienced me speaking in a Facebook group. They may have my phone number from a business card. They may hear me say, all right, I'm Rochelle of roseredetcetera.com. Go to my website and fill out the form. But I always know I can say, visit bit.ly/branded for real. If you go to that URL, you are going to get to my calendar to book a time to speak with me. I already have questions set up, and this is something you can do without a website. This is something you can do without a marketing team or a personal branding person, right? So you just have to decide, what is your user experience? You ever hear UX and UI, right? We're talking about interface and we're talking about experience. UX is experience. What do you want the people who interact with Dominique to experience? Map that out on that same piece of paper. Well, I want them to listen to the podcast. Then I want them to go and follow me on LinkedIn. Then I want to be able to have a personal conversation with each person. Oh, how can I do that? Let me sign up for Acuity.com or Calendly so that these people can answer some questions and book an appointment with me. Map it all out, your desire, what you want to get out of it, and that will inform how you show up and talk to people about it. Does that make sense? Is that helpful, Dominique?
Yeah, that's definitely helpful.
Okay. Is there anything else?
No, like I said, you were going to read me and I was here for it.
I don't think I read you. I think I just helped you trim the hedges. You know, before your hedges were all over the place, and now you have a beautiful hedges of swans. You know, like you are.
Make me wash this. Make me look good.
And you're already looking good, but I want you to look like Dominique. That's the biggest thing. So, and I think that I should put together a document, and I will, like Ashana says, I too am going to nap, but sometime next week, I'm going to make a document to show you how to take some in the house headshots, because we want you looking your best, and we want you showing up how you want people to see you and experience you. So I want that sunglasses in the blouse gone. No more sunglasses in the blouse. And I can tell from the Facebook pictures, you love a good sunglass. But we just want to make sure that we are showing up in a way that how you want people to perceive you. Okay, does anybody else? Okay, nobody has any questions. Nobody's typed anything else. Adatola says she will be replaying this again. Okay. Dominique, I will extend the same thing to you that I've extended to all my hot seat participants. I'll make sure you have my email, and you'll be able to access me for 1 week if you want to bounce any ideas off of me for copy or anything like that. Just let me know, and I will make sure to make myself available to you for you allowing me to share your this hot seat with you here during the conference. So if nobody has any questions right now, that's totally okay. If you're watching the replay, you can just @ me in the comments so that I can see your comment, or like some of you have been doing, you can send me a direct message, and I'll be sure to assist you. And you guys, I'm not going anywhere. Adatola, I will send you my email. It's kind of long. That's why I haven't been just giving it out, because it's kind of long. So I'll send it to you. And I'll also put my website online, you guys. I have a special for everybody in the group. If you want to have some one-on-one time with me, I have a special rate for those of you here in the group. Also, all of the visuals that you see in the group, those come from me. I'm also the creative director for the Kashana & Co. family of brands. So I do handle Kashana Palmer, the person. I also handle Rooted. I also handle Kish Camp and all of her endeavors. So I make sure we come up with the ideas for what we're going to do visually, all the way down to the drink recipes you guys saw. I created that as well. So not only do I specialize in providing visual brand strategy and personal brand strategy, but I also specialize in visual brand strategy and creative direction. So those of you that have the crazy business cards, those of you that aren't looking the best on your Facebook page, those of you that are using Canva, making graphics, but not quite getting it, I'm your girl to talk to kind of tighten those things up. But if nobody has any other questions, just remember, I'm your resident creative girl. I'm here in the group to help you turn your blah personal brands into booming personal brands. Please, please, please visit the rootedretreat.com, because what you're experiencing during this conference is only a smattering of what we are going to be doing at the Rooted Retreat. We are going to be doing a deep dive into what it means to have a personal brand. And I'm going to be even doing business card rundowns. Okay, I'm going to see, and I'm not talking about the business cards you get from your company. You too can have your own business cards. If you don't know about that, please visit the first video that I did, but here in the group. But we want you there. This is going to be a catharsis for you. This is going to be an experience that you will not forget. This community is imperative. Just like in the art community, there are less than 4% of Black women represented in museums and art galleries around the world. In the nonprofit world, Black women and women of color, not just Black women, are severely underrepresented and not supported. And so we are here to support, cultivate, hone, love on, and uplift you. So this conference is for you. It is not for us. I'm not a fundraising person, but let me tell you, I'm gonna be there doing all the challenges and getting y'all all the way together. So I appreciate you all for attending. And I'm Rochelle from Maytown. So 2 up, 2 down. Good night, guys.
Woo, that was amazing. All right, y'all. I have reached the end of my ropes. I hope you all have thoroughly enjoyed the last 3 days of this conference. This was just our taste. I want y'all to have a wonderful night. If you have not grabbed your spot yet because you're worried about plane, train, and automobile, we understand. Grab it anyway. We will figure it out together. Our sponsors are still with us. Even if we have to move the date out a little bit, we are still going to get it together. So please make sure you grab your spot. Prices do go up tomorrow. Have a fabulous night. Replay this. Tell your friends who were not involved in this that they missed it. They missed it. They missed it. And I will be putting together this bundle for folks who are not in Rooted for them to be able to access it later. Please make sure y'all connect with one another. Tag us in. I am going to be laying down, y'all, because as you know, I am still recovering. I've been at 80% for too many days. So I'm going to try to give my body some rest so I can get to 100%. And so I hope that you all found this to be valuable. Please take any of the collateral, any of the graphics that we have in the group, post it on LinkedIn, post it on Twitter, post it in your regular Facebook, make it public so everybody can see and share that you spent 3 glorious nights plus karaoke plus happy hour with other women doing the work you do, and that you are super excited to do it. I'm going to make sure also, so grab anything you want, right click on it, download it, and then post it on the LinkedIn and so forth. Let's show some social proof that what we're doing is valuable and important, and that others should join us. I thank y'all so much, and I want each of you to have a fantastic night. Good night, my friends. Mwah! Love you all.